It comes back to the basics of course setup. If we want to have tough par is a great score at major championships, we need to narrow the fairways, grow up the rough, pin placements.
They've got to make majors hard again. Welcome back to episode 17. This week we are doing a major recap of the season. Obviously, congrats to Brian Harman. Pretty cool. Sponsored, front of his hat says Megacorp, local Wilmington company. So pretty cool there. I know their marketing team is extremely happy with that. I heard about 4 to 5 million Google searches. So
I was about to ask. I wonder how many new searches they got on.
Yeah,
Google
it was like
that.
4 or 5 million. It was insane. So congrats to Brian Harman for that, who also won here at the Wells Fargo in 2017 at Eagle Point. So nice to see another new major winner this season. So
yeah, he's been playing steady. So.
Well, no one's had more top 10s since 2017 than him.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
What'd you guys think of the Open?
Honestly, Brian Harman played really well.
Yeah.
Maybe the most dominant performance in a major this year. I mean, he won that golf tournament.
It was his fault for making Sunday.
However, I will have to say it was boring watching.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
No, it was not his fault. Just everybody else couldn't do anything.
Well, yeah, there's no money.
Everybody else that was at the top of the leaderboard to start Sunday folded. Tom Kim, Sepp Straka went out.
Yeah, now Tom Kim played really well.
The guys that finished second and the guy that won.
Well, it looked like a fight.
Clearly played
it was a
the
fight
best
for
golf.
second place. I mean,
it
that's what
was.
it looked like. I mean, there's no pressure on Harman.
And it kind of brings up a point because we're 3 days removed from the tournament, or 2 days.
Yeah.
And
math.
People
Tough.
math's tough. Like so many people said, you know what, if Brian Harman wasn't there, it would have been a great major. It's like that's the worst take in all of sports.
That's a horrible.
Yeah,
thought.
So then if Tiger didn't
I was about
dominate
to say
and win,
you would have hated Tiger for years.
For years. Oh, it would have been.
I was gonna say it wasn't Brian Harman's fault. He went out there and did what he was supposed to do. It was the rest of the field's fault for not making any putts or doing anything.
But like, there's just so many
They
other
needed to waggle
media outlets.
If they would have waggled more, they could have given
and podcasts and people that have already came out like, oh, it was such a boring major because of Brian Harman. It's like, no, at least one player actually played to win.
Be better.
Yeah.
Rest of the field, be better.
Yeah, like it makes that whole take makes absolutely no sense to me.
Right.
Now, I will say part of the reason why I found the tournament boring to watch was that most of the time I felt like I was watching commercials instead of golf.
Yeah.
I don't feel like there's a lot of golf being aired, or what golf was on was like in a picture-in-picture as a really. Instead of using my whole TV screen, I only can get to watch golf on this
playing through is the worst thing I've ever,
hate that.
They've ever made. And how long have they been doing that? Like a couple years now. But
It's
who
funny,
broadcasted it?
The 25-minute recaps
NBC.
you can see
NBC, yeah.
on like YouTube.
It wouldn't
look like
matter.
the
It was
full
USA and
coverage
NBC,
without,
right? Yeah.
commercials. I said the 25, they'll do like the 20-minute recaps on YouTube.
Yeah.
It just looks like the full coverage I watched with no commercials.
Yeah, I was gonna say honestly,
doesn't look
the
any
best way to tell how many commercials there are in a golf coverage is to record it and watch it later. You'll realize you recorded like 5 hours of coverage and you only watched an hour.
Yeah.
yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I was gonna say we didn't even get like a Rolex 2-hour commercial free,
right?
Like,
Yeah, they usually do something like that.
was the
on
RA
these
going
movies.
cheap on us? I mean, what's going on over there?
The sponsorship dollars, I guess. But
No, but I will say like the coverage was that was the tough thing. Like you had one guy like clearly dominating, once he essentially hit the turn, right? But you had a lot of great guys making moves. I mean, Rory was making a move,
Yes.
but it's like every time the coverage came on, they were showing this just happened,
Right.
or
Yeah.
it was almost always a replay.
Yeah. I mean,
Or
Rom on Saturday played insane.
Yeah, he played a great
I mean,
round Saturday.
lights out, and then what was it? Chauffelet or something. He played good, but it was just to get him into the hunt, still 5 strokes back.
I mean, just from round one, like Brian Harman just saw.
Well, yeah, really, it was at 65 in the second round. I mean, he beat the field by 8.5 shots in the second round.
Yeah,
And-
all gas, no brakes.
Yeah,
man.
and it just played steady from there. If he had a stumble, he recovered it right away. His bounce back was, when he made a bogey, he followed up with a birdie. I mean, look at Saturday, he bogeyed was it 12?
Yeah, he's like 2.
Bogey number 12.
Well, no, both Saturday and Sunday he made 2 early bogeys.
Well, I'm
in
looking
the
at
first
the back
6
nine on
holes.
Saturday when he bogeyed number 12, and then he birdied 13 and 14 right
Right,
after.
he came back, and that's what he said.
Just drains a bomb.
Yes.
A fan says you don't got the stones for this.
Yeah.
He's like, all right.
Yeah, I like
Well,
that.
that was on the front nine.
Yeah.
That was on that
Yeah.
front nine after he made his second bogey. And I think that's super cool because that's one thing I do give credit to the majors is like there's so many different forms of interviews the winner's going to go through after a round. But like I like when they go inside and then finally it's like that open table. He's finally like digressed and gets to chill and they're like, what happened? He's like, yeah, I took that personally. Like that was that was the motivation.
Honestly, good for him.
I will say something that did point out to me, Kyle, is you and Brian Harman have a lot in common. Just ready to get on that tractor and mow some grass.
Off on the way and go on that tractor.
I'm going a big elk hunt.
Well, that was because did you hear the reporter that was like, "What are you going to do? Buy a new rifle?" He's like, "No, I don't rifle hunt, bow only." They're like, "Well," he's like, "No, I'm just going to go sit on my tractor and mow some grass."
Good old boy.
Yeah, that was the best part. He's like,
I sat there. I was like, you know what, Kyle does the same thing after he plays on Sundays too. It's just a little different tournament, but
just a little bit different tractor too. It was pretty funny. He's like, this win's going to make it a lot easier for me to tell my wife how much I actually spent on that new Kubota tractor. So I thought that was pretty
well. A bad paycheck.
And what's nice is it's another winner who appreciates being out there and playing and not taking it for granted. Obviously he struggled for a little bit. Talked about that with putting, but I don't think there's anyone that would root against him after seeing these interviews this weekend and just how he carries himself.
Right.
And I think that's also why, like, when I see all this stuff come up about how anybody but Brian, it was almost like Golf Digest put up a post on Saturday of like prematurely Brian holding the trophy and blurred it out, and we're like, is he going to do it? And I'm like, that's the most disrespectful thing I've ever seen.
I will say,
like, would they have done that to Rory?
No, but that's what I was going to ask y'all. No. Like they
because they know he folds.
No.
Well, they want their is it good bad for golf? I mean, they've always historically had their heroes, the front they push, and they usually come through and win some. Now we've got a lot of kind of old fresh faces coming in and winning some tournaments and. Good, bad for the fans, I mean, I like to see.
It's always nice to have an unexpected winner every now and then, right? And I mean, Brian Harman was an unexpected winner. I mean, nobody was picking him before the tournament. Right?
I will shout out to Justice. I think
Justice did pick him.
He picked him somehow.
But hindsight being 2020, he's been playing great.
Great golf.
He was due for a big win. The
guys that finish but it also goes to like. Why the major champions are what they are. Yeah, you occasionally get that surprise winner.
Yeah,
but
and the British Open does that a good
the cream
bit
always
too.
rises to the top. Like the guys that finish in the top 10 have been playing the best golf this year. I mean, Rory's been playing really well. Of course, Rory just always does what he does, backdoor top 10.
Yeah,
because he plays way too conservatively the first 2 rounds and then lights it up on the weekend. But I mean, Brian Harman 100% won that tournament.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
What do you guys think of some of the big names?
I was gonna say, look at Fleetwood, Rahm, McIlroy. We got some stuff to discuss there. I feel like Fleetwood was kind of the chosen one for this tournament. Yeah. He was the one that everybody wanted to win, right?
No one was hitting it closer than him.
Basically, his hometown.
Yeah.
No one was hitting it closer than him. Kyle, does Fleetwood need a new putter?
He couldn't hit the broadside of a barn on the weekend.
I think between putter and then. Just like what you saw when he lost after a 5-hole playoff, he goes from playing aggressive to super conservative and starts spraying it all over the place.
Yeah.
I mean, the putter, going back to this year, even outside of majors, I mean, if Fleetwood gets an extra 3 putts at the U.S. Open, the tournament he lost in the playoff, and then a few putts back, I mean, he would have been top 5 every major.
Yeah, I mean, he's been playing well all year.
Great,
but instead, we're three putting and from inside of 12 feet. So,
well, it's like a good tale is like on 17, hits it super tight, and the putt had absolutely no chance. Like it didn't sniff the hole from like 4 feet, and that's when it's like something isn't right on the greens. Yeah, because and we all know that the most deflating thing is when you hit 2 perfect shots from 300 plus yards or so. then you get up to the green and you hit a putt that you're like, how did I do that? Why did that feel so unathletic?
Like for me, it goes back to always. I mean, as a putting coach, I'm always going to say the putter is the most important club in the bag. But if you think of two of the best ball strikers on tour right now, Scotty Scheffler and Tommy Fleetwood, statistically I think Fleetwood may be 3, but they're the 2 best ball strikers. They right now are the worst putters. And what's happened? I mean, ever since Scheffler kind of sniffed that one win, he plummeted. Yeah. Ball striking didn't change. He's still striping it. He's not making any putts. So what's the rest of his game starting to do? Fizzle out a little bit.
Well, he's putting too much pressure on it.
Fleetwood, same thing. Had a ball striking clinic. Loses in a playoff after a couple just missed easy putts. Mm-hmm. The rest of his game fizzling out. So
I say, in watching Fleetwood putt at the British Open, to me, a lot of his misses look like they were struck out of the heel. Mm-hmm. Which usually that tells you there's something going on. There's something going on in the head.
Right, yeah.
If you're hitting pulling a lot of putts,
a little yippiness going on.
A little yippiness going on.
Well, I know for a while there he was experimenting with Justin Rose's putter, that Axis 1. Yeah. They actually custom made him a special shape and everything, and he used it one round and then put it up and went back to the old Odyssey. And every time he switches back to that old putter, it's only good for a tournament or two, and then it gets super cold again. So
yeah. I've just from being on the coaching side, people that claw grip with a toe hang putter, I don't get it.
I was going to actually say the same thing. To me, his grip does not match the style of putter he's using.
Mm-hmm. Well, wouldn't you agree?
Well, with that number 6, because Patrick Reed uses the same putter. Mm-hmm. With putters, you have toe hang, right? And that putter's, don't quote me exactly, because obviously he could have it weighted.
Everyone's is customized.
It's complete, but statistically speaking, that putter's around 60 degrees of toe hang.
Right.
A 60-degree toe hang putter requires so much rotation to get that thing back to square, and the whole point of Fleetwood going to the claw was to eliminate rotation so that he could keep the face square longer to target. Mm-hmm. And we're using a putter that's the opposite, which is why he wanted to switch to that Axis 1, because it's anti-torque, face balanced, and used it for, again, one tournament and then put it back.
Yeah. And like I say, when I was watching him putt on the weekend, the 2 things that came to my mind was, wow, there's a lot of rotation in that stroke, and 2, his mishits are coming out of the heel. So there's something going on there. Something doesn't match up.
We're talking about one of the best players in the world.
We're not
obviously something works.
When every shot you hit's on TV and documented, people are going to break it down and talk about it.
I mean, and that's the biggest thing is Brian Harman talked about the only thing missing in his game of recent was his putting. Yeah. And he joked about
putts go in.
He joked about it. He found an old, just basic mirror, and he said when he putted on the mirror a few times, he realized he was hitting cuts with his putter. So he goes, "I just told myself all week I'm a baby draw my putter." Yeah. So a lot of people think you need to rewrite the wheel. All you need to do is essentially, find
back
something
to the basics. Make it simple.
Make it simple. And which speaking of putters, What a week for long putters.
What
a year.
What a year for long putters.
What a year for 10-year-old crappy putters.
That's what I was saying before this. We need to research people in the top 30 with an old, cheap, style putter and just buy them up and hope they win.
Yeah. All I know, Scotty Scheffler needs to be showing up to the next in the playoffs in a few weeks with a counterbalance putter.
Mm-hmm. Something different.
Well, that's what's kind of funny. I sent the screenshot. I sold the exact putter Brian won with. I sold in March for $130.
Yeah,
because that was almost the top end of the market, because mine was essentially brand new.
I would have offered you 20.
If that.
That might be the ugliest putter behind the ball because of how thick it is.
And now if you pull up eBay, kind of like the
first itsy bitsy of whatever they called it,
spider mallet.
Yeah, it looked good.
If you pull up eBay now, they look like they've been drugged behind I-40 selling for $300 to $400. Yeah. And it's kind of I guess that's some more the ironic thing about equipment is a player wins a major with a putter. Us amateurs and normal golfers think, oh, if I buy that putter, I'm going to...
It's what you done for me lately.
Yeah. We will be the first to tell you, yes, you can buy a game.
Yeah.
Okay. So don't be afraid to spend that money.
If you have someone advising you on what to purchase to buy your game. You can't just go out and grab anything.
You go back about 10, 15, 20 years,
it just
find
might
the
not
ugliest thing possible, and still snag it up.
Yep.
Put it in the bag.
Are we going to see a resurgence of the ping dock then?
The Dock 17, I don't think is going to make a comeback. I just don't.
That big.
It's bigger than my iPad. What about Rory?
I don't ever count it's been 10 years. Like
Right.
you can't I get he won the Scottish Open. He was the favorite.
He played great the week before, right?
He's won there, but it bodes my question that I asked in the truck yesterday. And I'll ask it again because it alludes to Rory's situation. Does the media do they present these majors a lot tougher than they actually are?
I think so.
Oh yeah.
This week just felt weird.
Well, I was going to say this week in general too, the British Open in it having a little weather, being a little wet, the golf course was soft.
Yeah.
It played pretty much as easy as it could have possibly played. The greens were receptive.
Oh, I mean, they were spinning 7-irons.
Exactly. And that's why I thought watching the coverage, especially the weekend coverage, with nobody from behind really making a comeback. I mean, yes, Rahm shot 63 on Saturday, but he couldn't do anything on Sunday.
Didn't do. They dropped him from coverage.
Well, what's the thing then? Because you got, even par for the tournament was still in the top 25.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think
that's part of the thing where I feel like if they took the label of the Open Championship off it, and those players showed up and played, the best players in the world would win.
Yeah.
Right.
I think it just shows how hard it is.
Kapka used to say,
how hard it is to win from behind
because everyone's going to
major.
play themselves mentally out. I've got 15 guys to beat.
Yeah. I think it just shows how hard it is to play from behind in a major.
Right.
To come back from behind. And I think that's why Rory hasn't had success in the majors in the last 10 years. How often has he gotten off to a good start in a major?
No.
Rarely ever.
Do you think the mentality more... Finally tapped the I got so far. Do you think the mentality is more, I don't want to kind of crap the bed? I play safer instead of going all out for a win, but I look better if I finish 5 under and backdoor top 10 it versus
the old school
broke.
Traditional thought was that par is really good in the majors. Mm-hmm. So
Not
you
anymore.
play for par. But that's not, look, we had the U.S. Open was won at 11 under par. This one was won at 12.
Yeah.
What was the Masters one at?
Over 13.
Rahm won the Masters at what, 10 or 11 under par?
Yeah, but that was both of them playing defend. Well, Brooks played really defensive and
but two people whooped the entire field.
Right.
yeah.
So essentially,
but you got to come out.
Par is not necessarily a great score any longer in a major. And now, is that because the game's a lot easier?
Well, we called it. We knew Hoylake was going to be double digits win.
Yeah.
We just didn't realize everybody else would fold like a laundry.
I don't think it's because it's easier. I think it's mentality change. Because if you look at Tiger historically, bad opening round, and then he's like, okay, I went with my game plan. My game plan always opens up a little safer. Now I know where I'm going to attack, and I put the pedal down in the spots I'm going to score.
I think it's a couple things. I think, number one, it is a Tiger effect. Mm-hmm. Tiger showed that, yes, you can shoot 10, 12, 15 under par in a major.
Right.
It's possible.
Yep.
And then also, I think it's a little bit of the Masters effect as well, too. Every year we talk about how many birdies they made on the back nine on Sunday of the Masters, how fun it was to watch that. Mm-hmm. So these other major championships with their setups have gotten easier.
Right.
And so I think they want more birdies.
Well, it's good for the fans.
It's good for the
they're
fans.
making the setups easier because I want to see the bad holes. I want to see people.
I want to see them struggle for it.
But you don't see that on coverage either. If someone's struggling, cut away to someone with a birdie putt from 3 feet. It's like, no, let me see him in the junk.
We can talk about coverage, but
we won't beat a dead horse there. But I will say this: I was wrong going into this tournament. I said internal OB stupid. I loved how terrified players were of 18.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, there were so many guys that I've never seen aim so far left.
I say there were several holes that they weren't even aiming for the fairway on, basically.
Well, how about the way Brian Harman played 18?
And Harman stood there and just striped it down the fairway on every hole.
Well, think about this. Harman, because it was raining so hard, barely made it to the fairway.
Yeah.
On the last hole, which when you have a 6-shot lead on the last hole. But not only that, he laid up, he laid up dead straight.
Yeah.
Right.
Had what, 200 in, something like that?
Yeah, like 205, 210 in. Right. Those players were terrified of that OB.
You know what would help the rest of the field?
What?
Be a little bit more competitive? The modern golf ball. Yeah, since the USGA thinks it's still an issue, that modern golf ball would have. Yeah, they would have helped a lot.
Yeah.
No, don't.
But obviously, I would say Harman played really well, and then we've kind of hit on Rahm as well too. So Rahm played a great Saturday round, but then Sunday came out flat.
Rahm hasn't been in good form though.
His game's been kind of struggling.
Yeah,
you were big on that coming in. Like his game's been struggling.
I don't know. After the way he played on Saturday, I kind of expected him to get out to a hot start on.
Yeah.
On
but
Sunday
that's his game right now. It's like you can tell he's because someone said it. It might have been Justice the other day. Just like I don't like watching Rahm. He just looks angry and mad all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's controlling his outbursts, but yeah, he doesn't look like he's having too much
You
fun.
can tell he's not comfortable over the golf ball right now. And that's the biggest thing is when you reach that top and you're one of the best ball strikers in the world, when it's off, you're gonna demons are gonna kick in and you're gonna be like, what is going on?
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's part of the reason of Rory in the majors. Now, we've seen of recent a lot of players making caddy changes and immediately. And now I'm a huge believer. It's never the caddy, it's the player.
Well, the caddy's job.
I'm sorry. I'll jump on a bandwagon.
The player is making the decisions, but the caddy's there to keep your mood right.
Yeah, but I think if he gets a more experience, like a caddy that's been in the arena of winning a major championship. Like, there has to be times where someone needs, Roy's like, I'm just going to hit it to 60 feet over here in two putts. Like, no. You need to hit the 6-iron and go at it.
Yeah, we have a tough one here.
Yeah.
I think some of that, too, like Rory's dealing with.
I think Rory's making too much of the calls right now.
Maybe. I also think Rory is crumbling. He's got a lot of pressure on him. It used to just be Masters pressure. You have to win this to complete your deal and all that stuff. And now it's like the PGA put a ton of pressure on him, so every event feels like that. If he had a caddy that made him smile more, if he was having more fun, because you look at the rounds where
I'm sure he's having fun. He's a best friend of his, but
but I mean, you look at the rounds where it absolutely didn't matter. He was so far out of it, and they just blew the course away. He was out there laughing and
they joked about the reason why he and JP, who was his caddy before. I mean, they broke up because JP was all
sounds
like
so serious.
Well, they're essentially like. They were getting in arguments on the golf course about what they should do strategy-wise.
Yeah.
Right? Which, might be a bad thing, but also at the same time, isn't that what you want out of a caddy?
You're engaged.
Like Brian Harman said his win was 100% because of his caddy.
Right.
Because his caddy, essentially, they were tunnel vision. He kept it lighthearted, just talking about hunting, things like that throughout the entire thing. But then when it came down to the shot, they got to business.
Yeah. Right.
And obviously, we're talking about things that we really don't know.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I don't know what their conversations are. No one does. And people like to act like they do. But there has to be a reason why you're as good as you are. You win all these basic tournaments, and then you show up to a major, and you can't
perform.
You can't get it done.
Yeah. And you've been able to do it in the past. It's just you hadn't done it in the last 10 years.
Hey, but at least Golf's Digest on Saturday put out an article for Rory, rain gear Rory. I don't know if you guys saw that or not, but it was all khaki rain gear, and that's all Golf Digest talked about.
Adam Scott's been doing the all khaki rain gear for like 3 years.
You've seen the meme? I'm going to tell my kid this was Adam Scott.
Oh, my gosh.
I mean, just needed cleats.
I will say this. I did enjoy some bad weather. Like, rain is just annoying.
Yeah.
There was no wind on Sunday, so
it was very calm.
Very calm. Yeah. Friday, on the other hand.
Friday was interesting.
The drama Rahm had with his hat. And they made a big deal. The droplets coming off and turning it backwards. And let's take it off.
Rally cap Rahm.
Yeah.
Rally cap Rahm.
Your boy Jason Day played well.
About time.
Yeah, he had a good finish in the major.
All right, so let's what do you guys think? So our major winners this year, we had John Rahm Masters,
Koepka
PGA, Wyndham Clark at U.S. Open. Do you guys is there any correlation between that, or do you guys just think it was just one of those years that you weren't going to see a multi-time winner?
I thought I was going to see one.
Yeah, I mean, Koepka really gave it away on the Masters.
A few things there. I think if you look at the golf courses this year on the lineup for the majors, it was going to be harder for a multiple major winner, I think. You had a new golf course with LA Country Club and then Hoyle Lake. Those two, obviously, hadn't played a U.S. Open at L.A., and then Hoyle Lake's only played every 10 years or so.
Yeah.
So not as much information about those. So I think you were going to always have different winners at the majors. But that being said, Koepka could have easily won the first two.
Right.
Which could have changed the outcome of the last two.
Yeah.
Motivation-wise.
It didn't look like
possibly. I don't know. He looked very uninspired in the last two majors.
No.
So I kind of disappointed in Koepka. Like, he came out after the Masters. Well, I guess it really is after the PGA said something happened during the Masters that he didn't like. He figured out how to cope with that, deal with that. He wouldn't let it happen again. Basically dominated the PGA.
Yeah, he came out and put his money where his mouth was.
And then didn't show up for the other two.
Yeah. Especially when he's been...
And he made a point of saying, I won't let that happen again. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't know if that's what happened, but it didn't look like he had very much motivation for the last couple.
Yeah, he talks about mental fortitude in majors, and then, what'd you say, like he just didn't like the course?
Yeah, he right off the bat at LA said, I don't
physically, not mentally.
Don't like the course, don't like playing here. And then, I don't know what it was at Hoyle Lake. Maybe he just didn't want to even have to be over there. I don't know.
I think it was that first round with Patrick Cantlay. Just he couldn't mentally wrap himself around that.
That's why I love.
That's right. His round 1 and 2 pairings.
Yeah.
I love how they do that to certain people. But I was saying, like, you'll never see. I don't know if he truly has one, but like a golden child partnered up with their nemesis. Early on, they usually get Rory gets a fun pairing.
Yeah.
Thursday, Friday.
Well.
And then certain people get
But he's the
drama pairing.
He's the PGA Tour's wonder boy.
True.
So, I say, as far as the overall majors as a whole, what do we think about them?
I still think, and we've talked about it before, they've got to make majors hard again.
Yeah.
It's just been a trend the last couple of years. It's, again, obviously the modern golfer, again, we've talked about this too, but it's just, they're more athletic, obviously, with PGA Tour even has a traveling gym now. Mm-hmm. They're more athletic, they're doing different things, but...
You're saying the ball goes too far?
No. But the
No,
problem
I
is,
agree.
from a course setup standpoint, even Augusta, which has always played, it's been a fun golf tournament to watch. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying like the majors are boring this year, but realistically, the last 2.5 years of majors, it doesn't feel like we've watched challenging golf.
No, for sure we haven't. I say, I think if you look at the majors this year, if you look at the champions and how they played, we learned a few things. Number one, at the U.S. Open, we learned that if the fairways are too wide, these guys can hit. They can
Anybody
find
can
fairways.
win.
Yeah, anybody can win.
Yep.
Obviously, Rahm, Koepka, Clark, they're all power players, so the power game is still very strong. But then you have Harman. It's kind of that dink and dunk, plotted around the golf course kind of guy. And he made it work and dominated. Obviously, I would say probably the most dominant performance in America.
I was going to say, even though he's short, his strokes gained tee to green is
He did it in a
really
different way.
good.
He did it by playing
This
precise
season.
golf.
Right.
And then if you look at the Masters, I mean, the Augusta, how much length have they added to that golf course? They've shown that you can't throw enough yardage at a golf course and make them
Doesn't
not be able to
matter.
dominate that golf course.
Not when the fairways
So,
that wide.
If anything, they made 13 easier
Yeah.
by adding length to
It
it.
comes back to
Fairway,
the
grow the
basics of course setup. If we want to have tough par as a great score at major championships, we need to narrow the fairways, grow up the rough, pin placements.
I was going to say my recap of this year's majors, all the golf course, thumbs down.
Yeah.
I don't think it led to good championships because I was just looking at my phone. I wasn't being rude, but just
so
kind of
rude.
confirming the venues for next year. We got Troon, Pinehurst, Valhalla, and obviously Augusta.
Yeah. Well, Valhalla could be a shootout.
But that was a great final round last time they were there, which obviously was Rory's last major win, but
Finishing in the dark.
finish in the dark. But and that's just the biggest thing is when you introduce golf courses after so long and you introduce a new golf course, you don't really have any history.
Yeah. Right.
You don't none of these players have a feel for it. So it's almost like everyone's like tippy toeing going into it. It's like LACC, I'm sorry, it was terrible. Like it didn't really do it for me for a US Open. Right. And I think going back to Pinehurst, and now Pinehurst is going to be in the rotation every 4 years.
Yeah, it's either 4 or 5.
Or 4 or 5 years. I mean,
Essentially, it's becoming
these
the St.
players
Andrews
know
of the
what
US.
what to expect.
Yeah.
And now Hoyle Lake this past week was an anomaly, but usually the Open Championship does a rotation that you go back to a course pretty soon. So like Troon, a lot of these players have played.
Yeah.
Valhalla, a lot of these players have played.
Yeah.
And then obviously Augusta, everyone plays. So I think next year we're in for a treat because the players know what to expect.
What do you think about you guys, course setup wise? In my mind, I would rather see really tight fairways, long rough, but then reward the guys who hit the fairway by brutal brutal placements of the flags, but receptive greens. I want to see people attacking really hard versus playing. You harden up the greens and stuff like that. You see a lot of people playing for the center of the green, long two putts, stuff like that.
Well, the thing is, I think, so like Pinehurst, the fairways are tight.
Yeah.
But Pinehurst, it's not about hitting the fairway.
Yeah, there is no rough there.
It's about where you want your second shot to land, things like that. So
you have to kind of position your tee shot into an area so you can hit the area of the green that you need to hit.
Yeah. I mean, so I would.
But overall,
I would say
it seems like we've always
with soft greens, it's going to be a shootout.
Yeah,
you can't tuck pins enough.
There's no such thing. Yeah, there's no such thing as a tuck pin with soft greens.
So I think the greens have to be firmer. You could honestly just put the pin in the middle of every green, but if they are rock hard, then that would make it interesting.
I was gonna say because that's what happened at Valhalla.
Yeah.
It was super soft. Now, granted, Kentucky.
It rained a ton.
Yeah, it rained a ton.
It's in the middle of summertime.
I mean,
of course, now the PGA will be earlier in the year this year, so it could
be cold.
It could be a different kind of golf course for sure.
We're not going to see a necked 5-wood to 10 feet on again like Rory did.
I think that's the other part is what about the new schedule with majors?
We don't know.
Well, no, I mean,
the majors are set,
but this year was a different schedule because that order changed, right? It was Masters, PGA, then U.S. Open, then British Open. So the British Open has always been the third major, and the PGA is the last major.
I wonder if they make a change because I feel like the FedEx Cup playoffs are going to have to change. The reason why they changed the major schedule is because they're trying to make the playoffs like a major.
Highlighted thing. But it's going to feel weird.
I feel like the golf season's over now.
Exactly.
Correct.
And not having
everything
a major
was
championship
so front
for 8
loaded.
months. Yeah, everything was so front loaded.
Which we do have Ryder Cup this year though. But
watered down version of it.
We'll see what happens with all the live players. But I don't know. It feels weird that the major championship season is over. And we got to wait till next year for another one. So, I don't know.
I don't like the bunch schedule. I mean,
it was kind of nice having the majors back to back while it was happening. But now they're over. You got, like I said, you got a long wait. I think that's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
And with them so bunched, I mean, does that hurt player preparation? I mean, with courses,
I don't think it hurts player preparation. It hurts the events that are leading up to the majors because players are going to take those off.
They got it. Yeah.
I don't know. I think I kind of like the PGA being third major of the year. Was it always the third? No, it was always the last.
It was always the last in August.
Yeah, just it being in May is kind of
weird.
It's just a little odd. I mean, Augusta's perfect. Nothing needs to change about Augusta. No. But I FedEx Cup playoffs. The final event's a handicapped event. It's dumb.
Yeah,
like
it's always gonna be hard for the playoffs to have the same gravitas as what
I get. It means a lot to the players and their status,
but it doesn't mean anything to the fan.
But it doesn't mean anything
even the
to
rankings.
The
weird.
I think back when they had the like the Wyndham Rewards. Do you guys remember that system? That set up so much better versus. Okay, well, Scheffler's gonna have a 10-shot lead before you even tee off.
Yeah,
in my mind. That doesn't make any sense.
2-shot.
Well, no, there's. I think the number one in the FedEx Cup. It starts at -8 or -9.
He starts at -10, but second place starts at -8.
Yeah.
That's
he's got a 10-shot lead on the guy in last.
I mean,
2-shot over.
I could
might need it.
I could be wrong. I could be wrong, but I don't think that's ever like that. This system has led to the guy going into the FedEx Cup final winning.
No, because like Rory, that. I think
came from like 2 under.
Back.
Came from like 2 under.
Yeah.
But obviously we'll wait for that to come.
Yeah.
But I mean, the majors being over just feels like the golf season's over.
Yeah.
It's definitely a weird feeling. So something I was wanting to kind of hit on. What was our biggest surprise performance in a major this year? What surprised us the most?
For me, it wasn't a winner like that. I think Ricky Fowler's resurgence. I mean, just the solidness. Even this tournament, I think it was 23rd. I mean, he just hasn't. It wasn't like here I am one time and he dropped completely off. It was,
aside from a triple bogey on the first round on 18, he played really well.
Yeah, and I think that's cool because my big thing from the takeaway from the majors is a lack of like storylines, stuff like that, something to root for. And something like Ricky, for me, getting back into it was something I wanted to root for. So it made me watch more golf.
Go for it, Kyle. What would you say?
Honestly, I don't know.
Really? We had some big things happen this
Using
year, though.
caddies, putters.
But to me, this golf season was, and I'll say it was tainted. This entire major season was tainted with all the drama. I feel like with everything going on outside of what's going on with Jay Monahan, Live Golf, like they're not letting golfers be golfers right now.
Yeah.
And to me, it really muffled into watching it on TV because, we didn't watch a lot on TV. I would say from the Augusta standpoint, I really like that it made them feel human again.
Yeah.
You know, like Saturday's round, 40 degrees, they're hitting a driver 260.
That was kind of cool. Yeah,
that was probably my favorite part of the major season was watching them hit 7-iron from 165.
Yeah.
Watching them hit driver 260, like more realistic golf.
Whoa.
Because it was a hard golf course. You know, at that point, Augusta was playing a little tougher.
Well, final round at the Open, and yes, Colin Morikawa does not get 180 ball speed with 3-wood. Okay, so
But
top tracer technology.
But I would say like that'd be my takeaway is I'm a little disappointed with where golf's at just because of the politics around golf right now.
We do it in all other sports. Will we say these majors have an asterisk above them?
the winner still won.
Yeah. I agree. I'm not saying to the winner. I'm just saying to like the overall major field though, because a player that has played his butt off this year wasn't at the Open, Taylor Gooch.
Right. Yeah.
So no, I'm not saying Taylor Gooch was going to win, but like Kyle brings up a good point. You know, this whole entire golf season has felt weird.
It's felt weird. If they didn't allow any of the live guys, I'd say full asterisk.
Yeah.
Like, no, it doesn't matter to me.
Yeah.
But
it was just weird. I mean, and I think too, a question that we didn't have before. I'll start with my biggest surprise. My biggest surprise this year is probably Wyndham Clark because he was not in good form. Now, yes, he did win. He did win the Wells Fargo, and then shortly after won. But other than that, he was in really bad form. He doesn't have a swing instructor, or he dumped his swing instructor.
He threw a lot away.
He dumped his swing instructor. Yeah. I mean, he's mostly just been doing a lot of mental work.
Yeah.
So I think ultimately, because I don't think Brian Harman was a surprise. Yes, no one picked him.
A surprise
no one picked him, but he's been so good for so long.
Absolutely.
I mean, he's never lost his tour. Like, he's made it to the tour championship. He's never even threatened to lose his tour card. So, and with not winning and doing that, it's almost like Charles Howell III.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's
they're going to be
the steady golfers this year showed up because they're always going to play steady, and our runaway superstars haven't played like that, so it was bound to happen.
So for me, I'd have to say there was a couple things that stood out. For one, Michael Block at the PGA Championship. Can't believe none of y'all thought
he's
that.
living. He's living.
Well, it's because he's gotten.
That had to be.
He's hanging out with DJ Khaled now.
That had to be a big surprise, right? Yeah. First PGA professional to make the cut at a PGA Championship.
Boy, is he cashing in on it?
And yeah, exactly. Well, good for him. Honestly,
would we not?
I would.
I say yeah. Hell yeah, I'll take it for everything it's worth.
What's his name?
And say then something else to me, the amateur Sam Bennett at Augusta.
Oh yeah,
at the Masters.
Yeah.
His performance,
and then his performance at the U.S. Open.
Yeah, so he backed it up at the U.S. Open.
That feels like years ago.
It does.
That's
what I'm saying.
That was
it seems like it's so long ago.
3 great rounds.
I'd have to say my other biggest surprise, kind of my dark horse biggest surprise, was Phil Mickelson at Augusta. And finishing second or second, whatever.
So the old boy.
I don't think anybody saw that coming.
I mean, he's usually decent. I mean, he's got a lot of.
I'll admit it. I picked him to miss the cut. You know?
Yeah. How did he do at the Open?
I don't
Did he
remember.
miss cut?
Not well. I think he missed.
Shame on me, but I forgot about that.
But it's just like he said. It felt like that was a year.
Yeah.
I forgot about Phil Mickelson.
Yeah, because he had
this past week.
He had like a really hot Sunday, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, and just came out of nowhere.
Well, and they had because the Saturday round got cut short with the rain.
Yeah.
You know, he had some. They played like 27 holes or some odd number there. He had to finish the third round and play the fourth round, so he got on a good start and got some momentum and played really well on Sunday.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I mean, it's so funny seeing all the stuff that Michael Block's involved in. You know, he did the Mick Ultra like hole-in-one challenge.
Mick Woo Lee or whatever his name is commented on Michael Block's post. He goes, "Boy, you're cashing in on every endorsement."
I mean, he got the good tour. His son's with the good tour.
Yeah,
he's done chicken. He's done.
He's done the.
He's gonna look like a NASCAR Formula One driver on his shirt soon. Logos everywhere.
The hype can run out quick. You got to retire.
I mean, it's so funny. They did the at home. The guy that does all the PGA Tour at home stuff, and they went in and like he has like his entire like shoe collection of Jordans and things like that. I'm like, good for him.
Yeah,
good for him. Hey, finally a PGA Tour or PGA member.
I mean, he
gets the credit they deserve.
Starving before on his lesson salary, but I mean that's a really big stage to show up and play golf like that.
Yeah, it was cool.
I wonder what he's going to do for the Triangle in California.
Oh my gosh,
he better be fired up for it. What do we think about some of our big names this year? Some of our PGA Tour superstars and their performance in the majors this year. Scotty Scheffler, Rory McIlroy.
Personally, I think Scheffler, when the putter wobbled at Augusta, he just
Scheffler could have easily won the first 3 majors if he could have
made a putt.
If he could
have made a putt, for me, my biggest disappointment, because I've always been a big Brooksy guy, and I picked him a ton this year, is how he looks so strong. I mean, air at Augusta fixed it, came out, looked like Brooks of old, and I was like, here we go. He's gonna be a contender for a long time. And then I was like searching leaderboards for where is he at for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I think for me, looking to next year's major schedule, if Scotty can figure out the putter, he might win.
He's going to
two.
be tough.
He might win 2 majors next year.
And I still want Angry Rory next year.
I was going to say, and I want to see, at the Masters, can Rory shake the demons of A-Man Corner and win a Masters, complete the Grand Slam?
4 more years where he's going to be tough. If he gets his mind right.
Are you thinking like dodgeball, get angry?
Yeah. I think Hovland next year.
I think the other kind of breakthrough player.
He had a rough Saturday, but
he was in the contention in every one of them this year and just hasn't broke through yet.
Yeah.
So
I mean, you can do that and then never, because what was it? I always forget how to pronounce his name. Schauffele, Callaway boy.
Oh, Xander Schauffele. Yeah.
I mean, for the first couple of years, he was out. He was knocking on the door every major, and then he signed with Callaway. And just like,
I was like, he's another one. I like his game a lot.
I'm not knocking your paradigms over there.
I like his game a lot. I like his
Everyone
golf swing
always
and how
said
he plays.
he had the game to win majors because he's a great long iron player, things like that.
He's due. He's one of the ones who's got to break through.
I know where we're going. We're going on and on about the players again. You know who really surprised me though?
Who's that?
Sepp Straka.
Yeah.
Holy cow, he can hit a golf ball.
Yeah, obviously last year at the PGA Championship was not a fluke. He's a good player.
Yeah, that's a guy which I think it's going to be super cool. I hope he gets on the European Ryder Cup team. Right. If he doesn't, then I don't know how.
Yeah,
fun bet. For next year.
Based on who else is going to be on the team.
Fitzpatrick brother ranks higher next year.
Well,
I'm still stick with Matt.
I was going to say Matt's world ranking is going to be boosted with that U.S. Open win for a long time. But
it's fun to see him out there.
Yeah, I think it was
cool.
Honestly, it's like we're spoiled with the major championships. We're spoiled with who plays in them. Yeah. I just think they need to do a better job of matching the courses for the major championships. Right. This year, there was too much going on, right? You had essentially Hoy Lake that no one hasn't been, like, other than Rory and the older guys, no one else has played.
Right.
LACC, no one has played in a tournament. And then Oak Hill was...
As again, not many people have played it either.
I think they need to do a better job of kind of... Because it just gives it a buzz. Like I say next year's going to be fantastic.
The venues overall this year, I think we're good.
No, I'm biased because
just maybe what we saw end up playing out wasn't what we expected. Yeah. I'd say U.S. Open, like we said, the wide fairways. It turned out what we thought it was going to be. It was a bomber's paradise. But overall, I'd say this year's championship, major championships, there was a lot of storylines. Mm-hmm. 4 really good players won. Some really good performances there. I mean, like Wyndham Clark coming down the stretch and how he dominated in that round of golf on Sunday, and same with Harman on the weekend. How dominated
both of them showing up and hitting big time shots.
And like I say, some of those kind of surprise stories as well too.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of good stuff that happened this year. It was pretty cool.
I mean, it's cool to have new faces and etched on major championship trophies, which is. I will say that was
interview the new faces next year versus giving all the interview coverage to the same old guys.
Oh gosh.
Well, I mean, they kind of shunned Cam Smith this year at the Open Championship.
Yeah.
So.
Well, they barely showed him on the golf course too.
I forgot he even played.
How premature were they engraving Brian Harman's name on that claret jug?
I mean, you could have done it Saturday night.
But they were starting on 15.
No, they started engraving it. He teed off 18 when they started.
I thought, no, he wasn't on 18.
They didn't even mention or show the engraver until he was on 18.
Are you
sure?
On 18 and yes. Won the tournament.
I'm sitting there and I'm like,
now, I was thinking on about number 15. I was like, I wonder when they start engraving his name on the trophy. Is when I started thinking. But they didn't actually show him until 18.
God bless.
You might have got confused with all the commercials that were on.
What about Brandel Chambly's comment? Nobody's brought that up.
Oh, you talking about his dumb comment about the players? That guy just needs to be off TV.
What did he say?
He's doing a proposal to make the players a 5th major for the men
and make it the largest purse ever.
I'm sorry, but there are only 4 major championships in golf.
And you're not going to better golf by adding another one.
No, it's just diluting.
Yep. Yeah, diluting. Then what do you do to the guys that were tired?
I say look at the LPGA.
Look at the LPGA. Yeah. They have a major championship this week that. Now, it's our job to talk about, but they're not talking about now. Evian's.
I'd rather add more fun events than majors.
Yeah,
like even crossing over LPGA more with the PGA, doing stuff like that.
I think it would be cool.
Yeah.
Well, until next year, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Well, thanks everyone for listening. Next week we will take a week off. We do have a counterbalance build video going up. As well as some Titleist reviews for the new T-Series irons here in the next few weeks. So if you haven't already, subscribe, click those push bell notifications, and we'll catch you on the next one. DJ, play us out.
Drum solo.